Derek Kleinman was sort of a surprise guest at that Gray Reed panel because he was the SEC. He's with the SEC, and he gave us a lot of insight and valuable information. And that's where you and I connected.
Yes.
And when you were in the audience, you asked a really poignant question about a DAO. And before we go there, I was hoping that you could tell our viewers, what is a DAO?
Sure. So DAO, actually spelled DAO, is a decentralized autonomous organization. And so to think of it in a very simple terms of how I could explain it is it's a group of individuals that actually have a common interest, and they kind of organize themselves around that common interest, but their organization isn't in a regular corporate structure. And what do I mean by that? It means they're not in a regulated structure that you and I are already familiar with, meaning a traditional nonprofit or a traditional company, which would be a CEO, a board of directors, a president, vice presidents, marketing director. Those types of roles are in a very traditional setting. And what DAOs do is they kind of take those traditional roles and they leave it up to the community, and they leave it up to the community to kind of direct the way in which the organization is going to go. And they can do that through voting or governance. And so I'm kind of getting a little off track here. So that's the organization part. The autonomous part is that it is actually a lot of times written into code. There are actual smart contracts when you set up a DAO, depending on what kind of DAO you set up, and things are changing, evolving all the time. But those rules or the smart contracts actually help with the governing and the voting and kind of the direction of how to do things like deploy capital, or how we're going to reward team members or contributors to the DAO, depending on what the common interest is. And so because it's controlled by rules that is on the blockchain, it's very, very transparent. It's very transparent. Having a hidden agenda in a DAO, whether people argue that you can or not, if you just go by the rules that are written in the blockchain or the smart contract, it's amazing, because I think a lot of people look and crave for transparency when they're a part of an organization. And then decentralized meaning that it has no governing authority. It is not regulated by any one particular authority. And I think that is what attracts a lot of people to the idea of DAOs. And so what I like to say is DAOs are kind of the utopia of what an organization could be. And meaning that for many years, there has always been this idea of how do we give power and authority to the many who are contributing to an organization. And I think it's called the principal agent dilemma. It's a philosophical term that I learned actually while researching DAOs. And in the principal agent dilemma, it's the many are represented by just a few. And do the few always make the best decisions for the many? Well, I think we've seen in corporate America time and time again that is actually not true. So and so because of that, there's just this huge rush right now to create DAOs, to organize, to try to figure out how to use these models in terms of giving organizations and causes the best ability to succeed and thrive with a more stakeholder value, meaning all the members actually have a say. And because all the members have a say, they actually are more passionate about it. They are more invested.